Alright. Hello. Welcome to Shantae and the Pirate's Curse. I love this game. It's a very good game. This is like a sort of roguelike. Not a roguelike, hello? Metroidvania. Two very different things. They could be similar. It's a mystery. It's a very fun, pretty simple Metroidvania. Not too much like crazy stuff, but you are going to see a lot of very cool movement, in particular thanks to Pirate Mode. You might notice the category says Pirate Mode. Pirate Mode is essentially this game's New Game Plus, and it gives me all 5 pirate items at the beginning of the run. And you will see basically all of them right away, so I think best course of action would just be to get started, which I'm going to do in 3, 2, 1, go. So, right away I can skip dialogue with the start button. So, this game isn't going to have too many cutscenes. There's still going to be a lot. You kind of notice that dialogue boxes kind of have these arbitrary start and stop points. So pressing start only skips so many. But start is also the pause button. So a big thing of this game is knowing where cutscenes are. And the other big thing is knowing how to use your pirate items. Immediately you see me use the boots here. The boots, if I hold forward for long enough, I get the super strong, invincible dash forward that is very fast. And it is kind of the shining star of what makes Pirate Mode so good. Other items that make it very good that you've already seen are the cannon, which gives me 3 extra midair jumps, and the hat, which acts as like this glider and helps me cover air distance really fast and really safely. There's also the scimitar, which is a ground pound, and the gun, which is a short little projectile that doesn't really do much damage, but does get its fair use in puzzles. On top of the pirate items, there are also inventory items. I'm using a pipe ball here to hit the bomb below this platform as soon as I spawn in the room, and pipe balls also last for a full minute, so we're gonna have this item be used on the upcoming boss of this first level. And speaking of this first level, I've already seen a few people mention it, but I would love to give a shout out to Jake Kaufman, who composed one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard for this game. So Ammo Baron is very luck-based. He can do 2 attacks. He can dash at you or shoot cannonballs at you. He can do anywhere between 1 to 4 dashes and shoot anywhere between 1 to 3 cannonballs, with the last cannonball that he fires being the red one that you hit back at him in order to deal damage. The fastest amount of cycles you usually see in this fight is 3. It's kind of weird. So this boss's death state, he'll go back in the cannon and shoot cannonballs, and hitting a cannonball back at him is what ends the fight. Like that. So, if you want to call it a 2 or a 3 cycle, it's really up to interpretation. I usually call it a 2 cycle, but it's not really hard to get the 2 cycle. The only risk you run of failing a 2 cycle is if you get so unlucky that your pipe ball runs out before the 2nd cycle. And again, you have to get really unlucky. So now you have a bit of cutscene, basically kind of setting up the main conflict of the game. Ammo Baron technically, bought rights to the town or something, so we essentially assaulted the mayor, and now we're in trouble. So we're forced to stay at home, but series villain Risky Boots is going to make us not stay at home. So, yeah, this is Risky, and she has some questions. Namely, why is one of her Tinkerbats in the laboratory? So this dark magic is kind of a big plot point in the game, and the game's good ending requires that I get 20 pieces of it, which, as you're about to see from this mid-boss fight, I get a piece of dark magic from fighting a Cacklebat. Cacklebats are fairly easy to fight. All you need to do is kind of track where they go. They will jump in the air every time they get hit, but they won't do anything extra if you hit them in the air. So I follow through on my jump, or on their jump rather, and can deal a lot of damage without them being annoying. That's the only one we're gonna fight, though. So yeah, there are 20 of those in the game. That's one of them. And if you get all 20, you get the good ending. But this is just any percent, so we don't need to get any of them after that. So now our goal is to help Risky by... it's a long story. Essentially, she's cursed. And we need to help her not be cursed anymore. So to do that, we're gonna go find the Forbidden Islands. And I'm also gonna do what's called a Risky Shuffle. So I mentioned earlier that you have to run forward for a little bit in order to get the boots to activate. However, if you are playing on, like, I'm playing on a controller, so if I'm holding a direction on an analog stick, and then with the D-pad kind of repeatedly tapping the other, since I'm holding a direction, the game considers me moving forward the whole time, even though I'm shuffling in place. And that allows me to start the dash with a very short amount of space, which is really useful, because otherwise the amount of places that we would be able to dash would be severely limited. The sewers have a pretty easy trick. These snakes have a 50-50 chance of dropping a flesh pop, which I need 3 of. And I kind of messed that up, so I got hasty. Essentially, if you hide under that... Oh my goodness. If you hide under that ceiling, you can get multiple kills on the same snake, and each kill has the chance to drop a flesh pop. Unfortunately, again, I messed up because I got a little bit greedy after messing up the strat, and it took me a while to get my 3rd flesh pop, but I do have 3. So now we can give them to Bolo and get the key here. And this is just all kind of moving the game forward. However, we are going to do something a little bit out of sequence. I used the gun to pick up the travel brochure, which I'm now going to give to Squid Baron. And Squid Baron is going to reply by getting us the squid oil. The gun is something you usually get from the game's first dungeon, so we're not... I mean, I guess we're technically supposed to have it because we were supposed to do anything in pirate mode, but in a normal playthrough of the game, you would not have that yet. And that's kind of the big thing of pirate mode. Obviously, the movement is really good, but also with having all the items early, it cuts down on so much backtracking throughout the game. So, I'll make sure to point that up because there's a lot of it. There's a lot of time we get to save for reasons you might not expect. But now that that's done, we are going to head back to the main port with the first new map in order to go to the first of the Forbidden Isles of the game, which I already mentioned in Burning Town that this game's music is very good, but Saliva Island is the place where I would usually point out that this game's music is very good. And if I recall correctly, this game's soundtrack is on Bandcamp completely free. So if you like what you hear, you can just go grab it. But we're also going to hand that library card we got from Sky back to Sky, and she's going to give us a whole bunch of money, which is really good because that allows us to go on a shopping trip where I get to buy 3 pirate flares and a super pike ball. Pirate flares are maybe the most important. It's so hard to say which one's the most important. Pirate flares basically let me warp back to Risky's ship from anywhere on any island. And super pike balls are like pike balls, but there's 3 of them floating around me instead of just 1. So now we're on Saliva Island. Saliva Island is fairly self-explanatory. A big part of it is ascending upwards, but since we have the cannon, we get to do that a lot easier than the game expects like a normal mode playthrough too. So that's gonna be... It's gonna kind of trivialize a big portion of the island. As soon as I get the ham stink here, which is the real name of the item, one of my favorite things, we're gonna go up to the top by ascending this. Not yet, but eventually will be a waterfall. And I'm gonna try and do 2 animation skips here. I got one of them, because one of them is very easy. I did not get the other, but I'm still saving like 4 seconds over not doing either of them.
Can I sneak in a couple of donations?
Yeah, now's a good time. At this point, I'm just kind of getting items to let me get into the first dungeon, so I'm not actually there yet, and it's kind of slow.
Yeah, no worries. I've got $25 from Cyprus that says, "Yay, Flame Fatales!" Donation goes to Runner's Choice for incentive. I also have $25 from Layachir that says, "Excited for the Shantae run. Hope the runners are ready to go." Or ret to go, rather. That's a fun little pun.
It is. It's kind of maybe the closest thing the series has to a catchphrase. There's a lot of catchphrases, I guess. Anything could be a catchphrase. It's magic. So we're heading into the first dungeon now. And the first dungeon is pretty interesting, because I immediately do this thing in the first dungeon called Leave the First Dungeon. Essentially, the first dungeon, once I get in there, I'm going to dash to the left, right under the dungeon entrance, and I'm going to get access to a secret labyrinth that is based off of the very first dungeon from the very first Shantae game, Dribble Fountain. This is a really important part of the run because it allows us to get keys that are usually not required. And I'm going to do a little trick here where I skip the key animation by eating an item at the same time I collect the key. And the reason why collecting keys here is very important is because of how keys work in this game. So they're universal, but if you're playing this game usually, that doesn't matter. What that means is any key works in any dungeon, but if you're if you're not in pirate mode, there's not really a way outside of doing glitches that you would make it out of a dungeon with an extra key. But if I do a damage boost after getting that second key, it will send me back to the beginning of the hidden dungeon, and I can leave it with the 2 keys in hand. So I'm going to be able to use that to save a lot of time in the middle of the game. I'll talk about that more when we actually get to the point of the game where I use the keys, but until then, I have them. So the rest of this dungeon is just kind of not much. There is one enemy fight here that's pretty funny. I get to wait for both of these guys to charge into the same corner and then sit on top of them with the scimitar. And this is fast because otherwise these enemies charge around the room a lot, and also I'm hitting both of them at once like this. So just a neat little strat to control that room from not being too difficult. Also, there's a lot of money in that pot over there. I still need a lot of money to buy pirate flares along with another item I haven't gotten yet, which I will talk about. And this is the second boss of the run, the boss of the first dungeon, Cyclops Plant. So there's snakes in the sewers. It's kind of like that. However, there is a second phase here where the eyeball is going to kind of jump around the screen a lot, and I'm going to try and do a similar setup where as you can see, I'm trying to sandwich myself between the eyeball and the ceiling and get a bunch of damage all at once. And that fight went really well. That was like one of the better case scenarios of how that fight should be going. So that's it for the first dungeon, and at the end of every dungeon, we're going to get a map to the next island. so that we can keep progressing. Because the best part about video games is going forward in them. So we're just gonna leave the island here. As I mentioned, I do have pirate flares here, which let me warp straight to Risky, but that one hardly saves time to use, and we have much more important places to use them. So
ready.
Now we're on Spiderweb Island. Spiderweb Island is home to a part of the game that I would wager some of chat is already a bit afraid of. It's also home to my favorite character in the game, who is very much related to that part of the game that many people in chat are potentially afraid of. But we'll get to that in just a second, because I'm 2 screens away still. There we go. These ghosts deal 2 damage, so half a heart instead of a quarter damage, or quarter heart, or just 1 damage. So I do kind of want to be careful of them. Also, getting hit in the air just knocks you down all the way, and it's not fun. But, welcome to Run Run Roddy Tops. This is a section of the game, surely one of them. So unlike every other part of the game, I don't have items here. I just have a run and a jump button. I'm holding Roddy Tops. I die in 1 hit. I don't die. I just get sent back to the beginning of the screen, so that's at least good. But this part, there I go. It's still very punishing and very difficult. So there are a few things to point out, but thanks to how relatively simple and movement this is, in terms of options compared to the rest of the portion, we'll have time for donations a few screens from now, and I'll point out which screen that is. Although the big enemy I do want to point out are these tongue enemies, which I am unfortunately getting a little bit trolled by. This one just kind of is a chance to rush you. There you go. And now what I want to do is like that. Perfect. Essentially, these tongue guys, a lot of them are in front of ledges like this, and I can, if I stop at the right time, I can drop off the ledge before their tongue starts wiggling side to side and kind of sneak through the hitbox to not get hit by them, and without having to wait for their cycle to end. And that's going to save a lot of time over the portion of the section. It's like the big time save of the section. But with that being said, we also get introduced to these cycle-based spikes where I just kind of have to sit and wait for them to move. So if you have any donations, you can just kind of rock them for the rest of the section.
Alrighty, just let me know when you need me to stop. But we have $25 from Grump Roast, no comment, but thank you so much for your contribution. We have $25 from Marissa, also with no comment. We have $25 from Anonymous with no comment. We have $10 from Chris with no comment. We have $25 from Hunt11 with no comment. No comments, but all of these donations are helping just a little bit. Every little bit counts. It doesn't matter if it's $5, it doesn't matter if it's $10. We have $100 from Cubs Rule 21 with no comment once again, but thank you so much for your generosity. We have $25 from Chudley, no comment, but thank you very much. We have $25 from Anonymous with no comment. We have $25 from Lizzie Berry.
I guess I'll just point out real quick, so these grave enemies only have a hitbox when they're actively out of the ground, and the first room they're introduced in does a great job of like trying to fool you with a bunch of graves that are real and then a few of the enemy ones. But after the first room of the grave enemies, every grave is going to be an enemy, so I'm just gonna jump over it and I'll be fine. There's one more enemy coming up in a few screens from now that kind of has a lot going for it, so I'll explain it now before letting you get back to donations, if that's alright. Essentially, it's a ghost that pops out at a random height and fires a slow-moving projectile at that height. And as you'll see, as soon as they show up, they are a problem. So I will let them do the talking for themselves once they show up, and you can get back to any announcements you may have.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And I just wanted to remind everybody that the Yeti is one of our sponsors for Flame Fatales 2022. They create amazing merch, apparel, and vinyl for video games and pop culture. From this event, $5 from every shirt and $4 from every pin and sticker will be donated directly to Malala Fund. And you can find out more at theyeti.com. I definitely suggest checking it out. The shirts this year are amazing. And I can read a donation or two if we still have time.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of the last room, so you have perfectly enough time for like one or two more.
Alrighty, I've got $100 from Mopenshaw. Thank you so very much.
Alright, I went for a thing that I could have gotten, but I panicked a bit, so yay, more time! Oh my goodness. Alright. Roddy Tops, I'm gonna need you to be a little nicer.
You can do it, I believe.
Yeah, I accidentally died on a spike cycle that isn't too difficult, but it can be kind of annoying. Essentially right here, if I'm fast enough, I can just run over it like that. I unfortunately stood still a bit too long after the tongue went back up to make it, but thankfully the rest of the room was good. And that's the end of Run Run Roddy Tops after I jump over this one cackle bat. So, coming up now is kind of the setup for the next dungeon. I already have the squid oil, so I don't need to do any backtracking. I just need to go to the left. Roddy Tops and Abner are like, where is our little brother Poe? He is 2 screens to the left. They didn't even try looking for him. But Poe wants to repair this carriage, and we give him the squid oil so he can do just that. And to answer a question I see in chat, the easy mode for that section is taking your time and not just holding forward trying to be a speedrunner. Either way, I have the shriveled thing now. It smells. And that gives us access to the second dungeon of the game. So I'm going to go right up here and give the shriveled thing to this area, I guess? I don't really know. And now we're in Cackle Tower. So Cackle Tower, very interesting dungeon. It's usually where you get the hat, which is like the glider I have. So there's this big wind puzzle about turning on the wind in order to get to the top. But thanks to me having the cannon, so the 3 extra midair jumps, I'm not really going to struggle to get to the top of the dungeon. However, I am going to take a pit stop to get a key in the bottom area of this dungeon. And getting this key also lets me fight this enemy, which has a chance to drop a really good item for the later parts of this run. What did I get? I got a Super Pike Ball. Alright, that's not bad. Super Pike Balls are not the rarest item that I'm looking for, but they're one of the items I'm looking for, so that's still a net positive. And now that I have that key, I'm just going to start climbing. Obviously, being a wind puzzle where you have to go up with your glider, the boss is at the top of the dungeon. I'll take a pit stop here to get another key, which should put me up to 3 total. And then I have to use one to get to the boss, and the other 2 are going to be the 2 that I snuck in from the secret dungeon. And they'll be useful soon. I'll explain more about that when I get there. But for now, we are just about one screen away from the boss, so I get to start talking about the boss. Warning, if you really don't like spiders, that big spider that showed up for like a second at the beginning of Run Run Roddy Tops, we're gonna fight it now. So be warned. So this is the Empress Spider, and there's a few ways to go about this boss. I'm going to go about it the kind of easier way I know how to do it, which is essentially reacting to it. So the Empress Spider has a few attacks. However, it'll kind of let you know which one it's doing by its demeanor. So as you can see, when it wiggles up at the top of the screen, it like will shoot something down to the bottom. And when it kind of instantly shoots down, that means I can hit it while it's down, which is good. Because as you can see, it does kind of get stuck in place when I hit it a lot, and the Super Pike Ball helps me kind of hit it a lot in one place. There's runners that are good enough to keep the spider basically in place the entire fight. That is very difficult, so I will be happy with the kind of average fight that I had there. But that's going to be the end of Spiderweb Island. I'm going to get the map here for Tanline Island, one of the more interesting parts of the run. And also, I'm going to mention item usage, because you might have noticed I used my Super Pike Ball in that fight, but I also menued over to the Pirate Flare. Pressing both of the bumpers on your controller will let you use an item that you're highlighted on in your equipment menu. So I make sure to highlight over the Pirate Flare after using the Super Pike Ball. Because that way I can just use it as soon as I'm out of the dungeon. And that's the first Pirate Flare use, by the way. So yeah, there's the warp back to Risky. And now that you've seen it for the first time, you're going to see it like 8 million more times. So now we're on Tanline Island. I got 2 normal Monster Milks. Interesting. The big item that I want to find on Tanline Island is Super Monster Milk. I do a little bit of enemy killing, hoping to find it, but that's never guaranteed. The Super Monster Milk drops are all pretty rare, but here's hoping I get a few throughout the course of the island, because it would help save time and money. Squid Barons here gives us the X-ray specs, which we can use to we can use the X-ray specs to read these like weird statues that are around the game, and we need to get 3 sketches from the 3 statues in order to enter Tanline Temple, which is our next big goal area. So first one is over here on Saliva Island. And then the other 2 are going to be back on Tanline and in Scuttletown. So this is just kind of wandering around trying to get the password to the temple. So here's another good donation point if you have any.
You got it. I'm just going to take a moment to remind everybody that we do have 2 open incentives going on right now. We have the Yin Phase or the Yang Phase bid war going on, with the Yin Phase at $106 and the Yang Phase at $56. It is only a $50 difference, which means that there is still plenty of time for the Yang Phase to pull ahead. We also have the Kuon Phase bonus part of the Kuon run that is at $335 out of $2,000. We need to meet that $2,000 incentive in order to watch the runner do the last Kuon Phase, which is very exciting. And again, just as a reminder, whenever you are sending in your donations, remember to add the incentive at the bottom. It is a common mistake that many people do when sending in donations. But yeah, that is all for me. If you have anything to explain, feel free. I can read donations as well. Let me know.
So 2 quick things. One, I'm going to buy my first Super Monster Milk of the run, so I can talk about that. But I got a bunch of standard Monster Milk drops, but Super Monster Milks are very good. Basically, both Monster Milks and Super Monster Milks buff your damage for a full minute from like your basic weapon attack, so like your scimitar and your dash and your hair whip, which is the big one. Obviously, Super Monster Milks give you more of a damage buff, which is why they're the preferred one, but they're a lot harder to find. Also, here I'm going to do another bit of backtrack skipping with the scimitar, which you usually don't have at this point in the game, to go get the enchanted sword, which is going to be useful later. Also, this bridge, I run through it twice, and I have a bunch of skeletons on it. This means that this bridge is probably the best place in the game to get super pipe ball drops, which I've already used and gotten a few super pipe ball drops. Didn't really get much there, so not doing great on the damage items for the run, but it's fine. We still have more chances. Lion, fish, bird. So that's our password to get into the temple, is lion, fish, bird. I'm going to snag a little bit more money here, because I'm not getting great luck on my item drops so far, so I definitely want to grab all the money I can get so I can buy the items if things just go as south as possible. Which, we'll see if they do. Lion, fish, bird. I remembered it. Alright, there we go. So, yeah, the little password entry thing there always has the animals in the same order on the rotating thing. So I have to remember, like, the order of the animals in order to input the password as fast as possible. Fortunately, did pretty good on it there. So now we're in Tanline Temple, which is a stealth section that has a pretty major skip in it. It also has a pretty minor skip that, I'll go for it. I'll go for it once. The risk reward on it is very skewed. Basically, if I do it right, I skip a guard cycle in the last room. If I do it wrong, I get caught and have to do the entire section again. I'm also going to go up here and grab the extra money. There's 60 gems up here, which is quite a bit, so I'm going to want to grab all of that. Alright, and let's see if I can do the cycle skip. So in this room, I'm immediately going to jump over to the shade area, run past this guy. So I've skipped that top guy cycle, and that allows me to get a skip on this bottom guy cycle, where I jump over him as he turns around, and that saves, like, what, 5 seconds? It does not save that much time, but it is one of the harder things in the game, so I'm very glad I got it. So this is why I picked up those bonus keys throughout the run. I need to get 3 keys in this section of the game in order to unlock 3 cells to save Risky, Sky, and Roddy Tops. Going through this entire dungeon to pick up 3 keys while having to stealth the entire thing, not fun. So we used those keys from earlier in the game that we stockpiled with the help of the secret dungeon in order to just skip having to do almost all of the stealth in this area of the game. So we have all 3 of them down here now. And with this, we are now going to be able to leave. Basically, these people thought the princess was gone forever when she was gone for 30 minutes to go to the store. And in that time, thought every other major girl character in the series was the princess. In case it has not been mentioned yet, this game is very, very silly. But I love that about it. So, coming up next, we kind of have a rush to the dungeon. For the sake of mitigating a little bit of luck, hopefully, am going to defeat some of the Scorp Gals here that I don't usually fight. There's the Super Monster Milk drop, though, so I guess it was worth it. I don't usually fight these ones, but considering this is an event, and I'm also already not off to the best luck possible, I'll do it. I usually do fight this one. And it was not nice to me. Alright, I got one Monster Milk drop. I'm pretty good on money. I might be able to just buy the rest of them. There are still 2 more Scorp Gals I have to fight, so we'll see what they're like, but... worst case scenario, I'm doing really well on that money so far, so... I've also been defeating these cactuses a lot, you might have noticed. There we go. And basically what I'm hoping for from the cactuses are a bubble shield, which is an item that blocks a lot of projectiles. It kind of turns the final boss into a joke, so throughout the course of the run, I'm hoping for just one. I got a Monster Milk again. Okay, game. I see how it is. It's not a hard item to back up. Compared to items like the Super Monster Milk and the Super Pipe Ball, it is very cheap, so I'm not, like, gonna cry over it like I am the Super Monster Milks or Super Pipe Balls, but it would be nice to get. That's a Pipe Ball. I didn't want to get hit there. There we go. Do I have a healing item? No. This is gonna be a little bit funny. There is a strat here I can do to one-cycle this Crusher area that I'm not gonna get, unfortunately. It's a very, like, tight setup to dash perfectly as the wall comes up, and it's also quite specific, so you're not usually gonna see it. I can make it through the rest of here, good, and I'm going to grab the bonus health in here before going into the 3rd boss, or the 4th boss, actually. So every boss from now until the rest of the game, I want to be using a Super Monster Milk and a Super Pipe Ball. So Squid Baron is gonna get hit a lot. I need 1 and 2. Okay. I can keep track of that. So Squid Baron is actually really important to fight fast for a reason that will be explained in a moment. But let's just say that getting hit here a lot is not doing me any favors, for sure. He should be doing a healing phase here, so this is going to be a little bit weird. Basically, Squid Baron, once you beat his first half, he's going to go to Squid Baron 2.0. And Squid Baron 2.0 has this very interesting quirk where the attack pattern that he's going to be doing in this phase of the fight is very dependent on what action he's in the middle of when you beat his phase 1. And since I messed up phase 1, I have a much more difficult phase 2 to deal with, and I ended up using my auto potion, which is quite bad. At the very beginning of the game, Sky gives me an auto potion, which is an item that heals me to full health whenever I fall to 0. I usually like to save this for the end of the game, because Squid Baron is far from the hardest boss, but we don't always get what we want, do we? Thankfully, the fight itself, it wasn't great.
Oh yeah.
But, that's the end of the fight there. And now we're going to, go to the next island, Mudbog Island, right after we take a pit stop at Scuttletown. We still do need to do a bit of backtracking, quote-unquote, for access into areas. So what I need to do is give Bolo the fossil and the X-ray specs in order to get the death mask, which gives me access to the Village of Lost Souls on Mudbog Island, which is where a bulk of the island actually takes place. So coming up on Mudbog Island, this is really the part of the game where the game is like, hey, I hope you have health upgrades. These enemies do, like, so much of my health all at once, so this is a really scary portion, because if I don't do my movement correctly, I am going to have to try and get through an area full of super strong enemies. Decent start. Okay, I didn't get hit on my way to the save slot, which is fine. I'm going to start another dash here. And yeah, that went well. So now we're only one screen away from the Village of Lost Souls, and this is probably the easiest. Perfect, yeah. Pretty good. So now I'm going to use the Death Mask here, and it's going to let me into the Village of Lost Souls, which is again, where the most of this island is, but a lot of it is just running around collecting coins so that you can do a gauntlet of coin flips, which is as silly as it sounds. I didn't mean to take damage there. I totally blanked on my movement. So I'm going to drop a save here in case I end up dying. And while I go collect the coins for the coin flip gauntlet, this is a pretty good place for donations.
Absolutely. I have $25 from Skylar Fox that says Oomphin GDQ, love the run. I also have $5 from Mr. Game and Shout that says quick shout out to the amazing chat mod team. Y'all work amazingly hard to keep the channel a welcome place. It is absolutely seen and appreciated. We also have $10 from Grandmaster Scoo. No comment, but thank you very, very much for the generosity. We have $5 from Schrader with no comment, but thank you so, so much for the generosity. Every little bit counts. Can I keep going? Or are we good to go?
You're probably fine to keep going. I'm just thinking about if there's a heart somewhere, because I am at a very low amount of health. I'm going to check one place, but yeah, you have time for like exactly one more, maybe.
All right, I've got $150 from Anonymous, which is incredibly generous. Thank you so, so much for the donation. No comment, but it is very appreciated.
And that's why I made that safety save at the beginning of the area. Unfortunately, I will have to get the first 2 coins again, and well, all of them again, because I didn't think that would happen, but it happened. So I guess that means it's time for more.
Alrighty, well, I'm just going to take a moment to remind everybody why we are raising money in the first place. We are raising money for Malala Fund. Malala Fund is working for a world where every girl can learn and lead. They believe local educators and activists are best suited to address the problems girls face in their communities. Malala Fund invests their work and collective power to create change, hold leaders accountable, and give girls the tools they need to advocate for themselves. From supporting STEM education for young women in Pakistan to creating safe learning spaces for girls in northern Nigeria, your gift today is an investment in Malala Fund programs that directly benefits girls.
So I'm back at the red coin with a lot more health this time, which is good. So I can kind of talk about the coin flipping. Essentially, I have to win 3 coin flips in a row. It's entirely luck-based. It's coin flips. However, there is a little bit of a fail-safe. So if I fail 3 coin flips, the 4th try of the gauntlet will be an automatic success. These ghosts love being in the walls. So, yeah, here, heads or tails. I usually just mash heads because if you're just mashing A, it goes to heads. 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 Tails. Alright, I'm getting very unlucky. Heads. I think I won the coin flip game before it went to the automatic win state, which is interesting. But also considering how much I failed late into the gauntlet, I could have gotten a little luckier. But with the locket, I can hand it to the girl over there and get the Hopeful Flame, and use the Hopeful Flame on this fire pit to get the Manly Musk, which will allow me to get into the 4th dungeon. Yeah, 4th. So down here, this room where the, I believe, blue coin was, I can release the Manly Musk and gain access to the 4th dungeon of the game. So this dungeon is pretty simple. At this point, I already used all those bonus keys I have, so I don't actually have to get any keys in this dungeon. I've never done that before. I don't need to get any keys in this dungeon, so it's just a pretty clear run through, skipping most stuff in the area. I need to go down here, grab the money from that pot, and I can just do a risky shuffle here. So this is the dungeon where you usually get the boots, and the kind of goal of this dungeon is to create a wide stone pathway with those elevators so that you can hold forward and dash through that block. But with a risky shuffle, it's very easy to just do the entire block in one fell swoop. Or one, like, very easy, in one elevator, essentially. And this is Daggeron. He's Giant Dragon, and probably one of the harder bosses in the game. The strat is you're supposed to usually start a dash in order to hit one of the switches on the side, and then use that to spawn a platform, which you can then use to jump up to hit Daggeron in the face, and then knock him down. However, this fight goes about that by just jumping up at him and hitting him in the face recklessly. The faster, or the longer the fight goes on, so like the more health he has, or the less health he has, rather, my bad. The less health he has, the faster he goes, and the harder it can be to nail a hit on him. Thankfully, I did that fight pretty decently, so... that's the end of the 4th dungeon, and now we have the map to the Frostbite Island, where the 5th dungeon is. If I can, there we go. However, for some, I guess it kind of makes sense reason, I can't use a pirate flare in the Village of Lost Souls, so I have to navigate out to the main body of Mudbog Island before I can properly go back to Risky. So now we're on Frostbite Island, which, after having to deal with Mudbog Island and the Village of Lost Souls, you realize that the main villain of this game is definitely not Risky, but it's actually not the Pirate Master either. It's my ability to do a risky shuffle. There we go. But after a long time on Mudbog Island, you actually learn that the main villain of this game is ceilings, and now that they're gone, my life is so much easier. So Frostbite Island is a very easy area to just kind of jump over, as you can see. So I'm going to be doing that as much as I can. I don't have to worry about any of these enemies. Oh, okay. Accidentally pressed the B button, but we're good. This area does not have much going on, however, very soon we are going to get to Propeller Town, which has a lot more going on. So... Propeller Town is a town high in the sky with a lot of spikes and scary enemies. So I have to be quite particular how I go through it. I'm obviously going to be skipping a lot of the slower bits, like riding these chains with dashes and well-timed jumps. this screen is pretty simple. I just have to use the hat to go upwards in this wind. And using the cannon helps me go up faster than the hat, so I'm going to be using the cannon a lot as well. You're still not at the point of the game where the cannon is an intended item that you have. That's actually going to be at the dungeon of this island. So pretty soon we're going to be at the point where the game is the same between normal and pirate mode, but this is not that part quite yet. In this screen, compared to the last up screen, I want to make sure I don't use the cannon until a particular point, because I can skip going around these spikes here by just using the cannon to get around them. Oh, interesting. There we go. And now that that screen's done, I just have to go down right, and Bolo is here, and he'll give us the targeting module. So essentially, this part of the game harkens back to the beginning, where Ammo Baron takes over as mayor of Scuttletown. He wants to fire a missile at... He wants to fire a missile at Sequinland Palace in order to destroy it, and build his own palace on top of it. As you can expect, that's bad. However, we still have to help him fire the missile, so we're going to do what we can. The first bit is getting that targeting module from Bolo in Propeller Town. The next thing I need to do is go to Roddy Tops here in Spiderweb Island and use the Lost Soul that we got right after the 4th dungeon to get the spirit of Joe, who was Sky's boyfriend that got turned to stone when we went to go get the mummy sketch, rather. So we can get the spirit of Joe here and give that back to him, so that he can fire the cannon. And also we can hand in the death mask we used to get access to the Village of Lost Souls to Avner, the Roddy Tops' big brother there, in order to get a pirate flare that we can use to go back to the ship. And I'm also going to buy 2 more pirate flares here, as well as 2 super monster milks, so that I have my super monster milks and every item for the rest of the game. I'm technically still down a super pike ball, but the upcoming boss, the next boss that I fight, is a lot less particular about the damage you need to deal in order to get the fastest cycle compared to the other 2, so I should be fine just using a regular pike ball there instead of a super. Getting money at this point is still pretty neat, because I do need 1 item that I still haven't gotten that I will buy right before the final boss. So I'll keep that in mind. But for now, I bring the enchanted blade to Branson, who transforms and gets the 2 ladies to go back to the cannon so that they can fire it properly. I can also give the Spirit of Joe back to Barracuda Joe so that he can help us fire the cannon. And with everything done, I now just have to give Ammo Baron the targeting module, and he will be ready to fire the cannon. Now, you may be wondering how hitting Sequinland Palace goes with the cannon, the intended goal. It actually turns out the cannon misses Sequinland Palace so badly that the cannon ends up blowing a hole in Frostbite Island that just so happens to be the entrance to the Abandoned Factory, the 5th and final main dungeon of the game. So now we're going to go back to Frostbite Island and go through this first screen one more time. And it's time for the final main dungeon. So this dungeon, as I mentioned earlier, we don't have any more stockpile keys. Thankfully, a lot of the keys in this dungeon you have to get with the cannon, which in the dungeon is usually very late. However, since this is pirate mode, as always, we've had it since the beginning, so getting the keys in this dungeon is not too difficult. I just have to, know where they are. I need 3 of them. And they're all fairly easy to get. I'm gonna defeat these enemies for a chance at like an item drop or maybe a heart. Nope, not quite. All right. I actually don't need the heart, but I would have liked to have it. It's fine. So I'm gonna go this way with the 2 keys I have. Grab a 3rd key in these stone blocks, if I can do my shuffle. There we go, perfect. And that gives us access to this door on the left, which I can unlock, and this leads to the big boss of the dungeon. This Steel Maggot, they're a pretty funny little guy. Basically, the top of his head is like a code I have to put in by shooting them with the cannonballs. And once I put the 3 in the correct order, I didn't mean to use that. It's fine. Once I put the 3 in the correct order, it reveals the weak spot on his tail that I just need to hit in order to actually damage him. Okay, this is interesting. Okay. I have to be real careful here. I'm running low on health. But I should be fine as long as I don't do something too careless. Yeah, I just need to hit that one in the front, and it should be good to end the fight. There we go. Yeah, alright. Absolutely no danger here. Unfortunately, I'm down a super pike ball, which means I'm gonna end up doing the final boss a little bit slower, but it's fine. It's fine. No worried. No worries. We're pretty close to the end of the game. Not much left. So, coming up, we get the Lonely Grave map, which is where the Pirate Master is. Spoilers. And the Pirate Master, when we get there, is going to take over. It's going to go straight to Scuttletown, and we have to go back to stop him. So there's a fair bit of cutscene while this happens, so now's like your last chance for donations before the final boss.
Wonderful! I've got some great ones for you. I have $10 from Cece that says, "Fun run with great music. Dono goes to Bunner's Choice."
I like it.
I have $25 from Sarah of Mars that says, "Phasmophobia ho!" Get it? Pirate jokes. I also have $50 from Char Bunny that says, "Have to donate because Bunny, really enjoying the run." Let's keep that Kuon incentive moving. We want to see the ending.
So
and I also have...
Oh, go ahead.
Oh. Just this last one. I have $50 from Rissa that says, "Bunuite," probably a play on Shantae.
I appreciate it. So, I bought an item there called the Bubble Shield, because I did not get a Bubble Shield drop throughout the course of this run. Basically, the Bubble Shield makes me immune from all projectiles for a full minute, which is really helpful because like 90% of the damage that this boss does is entirely projectile, the final boss. So that's going to help making it a little bit easier. Unfortunately, since I lost my auto potion, I still can't play as risky as possible. However, the boss will not be that difficult. But before the final boss, we of course have the final dungeon. And there's a reason I kind of skirted around in making sure I referred to Abandoned Factory as the final main dungeon. But for the most part, it kind of is the final dungeon. This dungeon is pretty difficult casually. You have these side rooms that you see on my right now, where you have to do these like gauntlets that are super difficult and require using like all the items you've gotten throughout the game. However, if I time my cannon shots correctly, with a little help from a tiny bit of height you can gain from deploying your hat, I can actually skip all of the gauntlets like that and turn this like several minute ordeal of a finale into like a 30-second climbing section. So that keeps things nice and simple. I'm going to drop a save before the final boss just to be safe in case I die or worse, the game crashes, which has happened on a marathon before. Okay, it didn't happen again. So yeah, this is the final boss. This is the Pirate Master. So I'm going to use Super Monster Milk, my Pike Ball, and the Bubble Shield. He's going to start teleporting around. I have to be a little bit careful because he can actually teleport to the middle of the screen. It's very possible that I can not pay attention to him teleporting to the middle of the screen and accidentally run into him for contact damage, which is quite bad because he kills me in 2 hits with contact damage. This part, since I don't have an auto potion, I'm going to play a little bit safe. Usually I would try and do something like this more consistently, but that phase is done. Time is going to be when he dies, which is now. That's time. Little bit of a longer fight than usual because I accidentally used my super Pike Ball instead of my normal Pike Ball on the Steel Maggot, but that was still a decent fight. And yeah, that's Shantae and the Pirate's Curse. We're not getting the good ending here because I didn't get all the dark magic, but it's still the end of the game. I still get credits, and really, if that's not winning, I don't know what it is.
Absolutely winning. GG's.
So, quick few shoutouts. One, same person I shouted out yesterday. If you really like my bunny avatar, big shoutouts to Von Karn on Twitter, making that for me. VONKARN, if you want to follow them. You absolutely should. Her art is incredible. I also want to give a shout out to the Shantae community. I learned this game at the beginning of this year, and I haven't really talked to a lot of them, but I've done this game at events a few times, and every time they've shown out and just been incredibly nice, so big shout outs there. Other than that, I don't believe I have too much else to shout out, but I really appreciate being able to do this. Obviously, a few parts of this run didn't go perfectly, but I'm still really happy I got to do it. So thank you so much for having me, and enjoy the rest of the event. It's going to be a great one, quite frankly. So have a good one. Enjoy the rest of everybody enjoy the rest of your week. I get to start classes today, so I will be watching alongside schoolwork. Thank you again. Thank you so much for having me. Have a good one.
Thank you again, Laurie, so much for that fantastic run of Shantae. It was absolutely amazing. Let's see, I have $25 from Poetics that says a huge thanks to all of the runners, tech team, hosts, and announcers who have come together to make this wonderful event, spotlighting women speedrunners and the fantastic Malala Fund. Thank you so much for your generosity. I also have $5 from Almrond that says thank you to everyone involved in this charity. Thank you, tech. Thank you, runners. Thank you, most of all, donors. Great things are done with these contributions, and I would like to thank anyone and everyone involved. Thank you so much for your contribution. Every little bit counts, and we have made fantastic headway on some of these incentives. Thank you all so much for your enthusiasm, for your excitement, and for all of your love. We're going to take a quick break, and I will see you right after this Twitch ad. All right. Welcome back, everybody, to Flame Fatales 2022. I hope you all have been enjoying your time so far. I just want to remind you all of the incentives that we have going on right now. So far, we have the Kuon bid war, the yin phase versus the yang phase. The yang phase has made some traction, so it is now at $81 versus the yin phase, which is still at the lead at $106. There is still time to make this a very exciting bid war. The Kuon phase has also pulled ahead. We are at, $515 out of $2,000. I have also just been informed that we have a brand new incentive that has just opened up for the Xena run coming up. Our fabulous runner, Cyanide, will be doing a Xena run, a Xena shout for every $500 that we make. And as a reminder, every donation, every contribution that you make, regardless of the incentive you choose, all goes towards that Phasmophobia run with Bath and Jan and Nicole Goodnight at $30,000. Every little bit counts. But for right now, let's turn it over to Cyanide Sugar for Xena.